Welcome to the Munk Podcast, your sanctuary for self-discovery, personal growth, and emotional healing. I'm your host, Parag Lokande, a shadow coach, spiritual mentor, seeker, poet, and a student of life. This podcast is a heartfelt journey into understanding and embracing your true self. It is designed to help you navigate the complexities of the human experience with wisdom and compassion. Join me on a journey to self-discovery and personal growth as we explore the power of self-healing. Welcome back to episode 35, and today we are going to dive right into the third stage of growth. Life is happening through me. We've looked at the first two stages, the victim state and the control state. So this is the third stage, which we can call the surrender state. This episode is especially close to my heart in the sense that at the time of recording this and for perhaps the past whole year or so, I've personally been navigating this stage of my life. I'm not sure where I am on the spectrum, but I would say this stage is not without its challenges. It's not all rosy, lovey-dovey, and blissful all the time. In my previous episodes, we have referred to the healing journey as a maypole, a tall pole with colorful ribbons hanging from the top all the way to the ground. And each ribbon as though represents a part of who we are. As we heal and grow, it's like these ribbons get pulled back up to the top. Every time we work on a part of ourselves, we move from a lower version of ourselves to a higher one. It's like going from feeling separated and confused to feeling whole and connected. The more we heal, the more these ribbons rise, and the closer we get to becoming our true or the whole self, the higher self. So then, do I still cross paths with it? Like, do I still come across parts within me that are in victim state or control state? Hell yeah. However, the frequency is far lesser than what it used to be. So in that sense, it feels more like the levels of a building where your gross or the average state is far better, but occasionally you would discover your victim parts or parts that are in control. So in that sense, I am too on my own journey as you all are. So then, at what stage do we reach and begin to think as life is happening through me? Let's build that up a bit. Let's recap a little before we ease into the third stage. Now, you guys would remember we've discussed before, when each part of us, the parent in us, the partner in us, the brother or sister in us, the part that speaks to our vocation, our purpose, when each part in us has been playing the victim for too long, and then after that has tried to be a control freak for equally that long, until it feels totally defeated, helpless, and lost, it is then we begin to surrender. The third stage then is about how much you can surrender control. How much can you let go of control? How much can you start to trust the universe has your back? The more you surrender, the more you begin to trust. It just comes. It just shines through you. Because trust is a very intrinsic quality of your higher self. So when you start surrendering the shadow, which is the control, your higher self, that aspects of your higher self starts to shine through you. So you don't build trust. Trust just is an undercurrent of, or a consequence of losing or surrendering control. So the more you surrender, the more you begin to trust. The more you trust, the more you are in awe as to how supported you are by the universe. The more this happens, the more you realize the psychosis of the control state. you begin to grow humble and then sort of recognize how the divine will is far more wiser than the personal will. You begin to see how you are trying to play God in all areas of your life when you are in control state. You start allowing more, resisting less. The universe begins to speak to you, literally. And I can't really explain this part, or maybe I can try in a future episode, but it is really worth experiencing this. It is literally, there's a constant communication going on between you and life. Since by this time, you're so good at allowing the full spectrum of your emotions, chances are you no longer see emotions as positive or negative. You begin to see all emotions as pure energy that is constantly speaking to you, guiding you, holding you, nothing more. And because of this, you grow indifferent to what life is throwing at you. Everything is welcome as a step towards engaging more deeply with life and with gratitude, that too. Because you know very well what waits you on the other side is going to be even more amazing. There's this total peace. Your mind-body connection or the nervous system has gotten so elastic that you now begin to hold emotional space for other people in your life. And since your relationship with your own emotion has changed, this naturally is then projected onto others, so you rarely take anything personally. The meaning of work even changes for you. And this is where most of you would give up your old versions of work, career, and take on a higher expression of what that meant for you. So you really are resisting, basically. So this is like a flow state, in other words. So there's so many magical things happening to you in this state that you really grow more and more in awe each day. But like I've said, this space comes with this space comes with its challenges as well. Because surrender does not come with a crystal ball. Surrender is simply surrender. You sort of say to the universe, I know you have my back better than anyone can, including myself. And yet, when you do this, you don't know how the divine will is going to unfold for you. You cannot see the future. You don't have a crystal ball, so you can only see the next right step, what the present moment has revealed itself to you. You know what to do in the given moment, because you're obviously a lot more intuitive by this stage. But you have no idea where this is leading you. There's just a felt sense that I'll be all right by simply following this next right step. So life often becomes better read backwards in the third stage. And you see, because of this, it drives the mind crazy. Even though there is trust and everything in this stage, we are so used to the linear way of thinking and living life. We are so used to planning something, controlling the outcome every step of the way. This way of living is totally insane for the mind. This new way of now just trusting and simply waiting day by day for life to unfold. So you, like, the paths revealing to you every day of, as you go along. This way of living is totally insane for the mind. It does not understand it. It cannot fathom it. It is not used to it, more importantly. That is not how it's been trained. That is not how it's been functioning. And this is why this space can be extremely challenging, or is extremely challenging. You see, this is, I believe, where you meet your fear of the unknown. You may have heard there are really two primordial fears in all of us: fear of death and the fear of unknown. All other fears are simply born out of these two primordial fears. They're just gradients of these two fears. And I think fear of death, you sort of overcome doing shadow work. Because you're literally dying. Because you die and are reborn so many times along the way, along the first two stages, there isn't much of that fear of death left. Because really, what's dying? The fear of death is the ego death. It's really the ego that does not want to die, wants to live forever. So the ego is afraid to die. Shadow work is basically ego death every time you surrender something. But the fear of unknown is something else. And I believe this is where you begin to work with your fear of unknown. Now, here is $1 million concept. Are you guys ready for it? Okay. You cannot surrender anything or let go anything without embracing the contrast. I'll say this once again. You cannot surrender anything or let go anything really without embracing the contrast. That is, without welcoming the contrast, without accepting the contrast, without allowing the possibility of the contrast. And once again, this needs to be an experience. It can't be just a mental process. You need to embody or feel the contrast. You need to become the contrast. Like I said, it can't just be a mental process. It cannot just be an imagination. It cannot be a thought or an affirmation. It needs to be an experience. And we've said this again and again. You cannot experience anything in life unless you are not willing to feel it. Even feel it fully. In past episodes, I guess I've tried to explain this through the holiday example. You see, when we plan a holiday, we're really interested in the experience of it, isn't it? You don't just put on a documentary of a place you want to visit and say, I had a great holiday. You want to go there. You want to experience that place. And that's what really it means to experience life. Now, we do this with pleasant things in life. We do this with positive things in life. But we don't do this with unpleasant things. We don't do this with unpleasant experiences, isn't it? So to experience something is to feel it fully. And this applies especially to my fellow men. Without generalizing, of course, I know many men who are deeply connected to their emotions. So kudos to them. But just, most of us who are not able to, and I was one of them back then, we are very good at imagining, envisioning, dreaming, and mentally living in that dream. And I suppose that's a very important aspect of being a man, because men are target-oriented. And unless we have this aspect in us, the imagining, dreaming, envisioning, we can't really bring about transformation. But you see, unless we can allow the feeling that go with it, it cannot really be an experience. And we miss the entire meaning and purpose of life when we do that. So similarly, to let go of something, we need to feel or experience the contrast. Let's look at some examples. To let go of perfectionism, let's say you're, a perfectionist. To let go of perfectionism, let's say you've come to a point where you're fed up, tired of trying to control everything to its perfection. And if you want to let that go, you have to be prepared to experience the fear of failure. You actually have to experience the imperfection, what it means to live in imperfection. Similarly, to let go resentment, we must experience grief and disappointment. To let go attachment, we must experience uncertainty. Because that's the whole point. You're trying to attach to something. You want to hold on to something because you're not prepared to feel the contrast. To let go of guilt, we have to experience self-forgiveness. So we often try to let go of things mentally, thinking we can simply decide to move on. But the real letting go happens through feeling the underlying emotions that we've been avoiding all along. To release something, we have to be willing to experience the contrast. And when you experience the contrast, that thing that you're trying to let go drops like a dead fly. It is such instantaneous that many times you'll be surprised with how quickly you've moved on. You've let go of things. So to release something, we have to be willing to experience the contrast, that very thing we are afraid or resisting. So true letting go isn't a thought, it's an embodied experience. And this is where this kind of work can bring profound changes in your life. If in any aspects of your life you feel I cannot go on anymore, or I've tried everything that I could, yet I'm totally defeated and I feel like giving up, then turning to shadow work really helps you understand why you reached this point in your life. I even like to say that this is the final frontier of healing. Now, same as all other stages of life, this stage too is a spectrum, where on one side of the spectrum, you're merely beginning to surrender. Perhaps even a particular aspect of yourself, a single aspect of yourself. Say you feel defeated in the realm of relationships, and you begin to surrender your ego in just this aspect of your life. Then on the extreme end of the spectrum, it's as though you will begin to surrender all other aspects of your life. And how do you get there? How do you do this? When you realize how you have been in your own way, how you are holding yourself back in one area of your life, when you begin to have profound changes by surrendering that area, you then start to do this with all other areas of your life. And thereby you start moving towards the other end of the spectrum. Hence, life is happening through me. The third stage is a deep transformative phase of spiritual growth. At this stage, you begin to recognize that you're just a passive participant in life. You're not, right? You're not just a passive participant in life, nor are you solely in control of it. Instead, you realize that you are some sort of a channel through which life's flowing through. It's like you're a co-creator with life itself. So then at this stage, you realize that life flows through you like a river. You're not forcing life to happen, nor are you resisting it. Instead, you're simply allowing whatever wishes to flow through you. Whatever, your thoughts, your actions, creativity, everything becomes an expression of life itself. It's about letting go of control and then learning to trust the process of life. You no longer see yourself as someone who needs to fix everything or make things happen. Instead, you understand that you're a vessel of life to express itself. Your gifts, emotions, and experiences, they all are a part of life's unfolding. And then challenges naturally become opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to overcome. Instead of then trying to control outcomes, you focus on showing up fully or allowing things to unfold fully. Decisions at this stage aren't really logical anymore. Yes, there is a role for logic to play, but you're so guided by the inner knowing, the intuition, and the alignment with what feels right for you, you just stop fighting reality and simply start flowing with that inner alignment. And you have this inner sense of knowing that every challenge is taking you towards a greater reality. You've seen this happen a lot along the way. So this just becomes very natural and effortless process. You notice that your actions, ideas, And relationships, they just start flowing naturally when you're aligned in life. And you begin to be aligned in life when you begin to recognize how you're feeling in your body from moment to moment. So, for example, a friend calls and suddenly you feel tension in your body. You're not aligned. You know that is not where you want to move towards. So you would postpone meeting that friend. It could be for many reasons. Maybe the friend's going through some hardships, or you might not be in a place where you can support the friend. Whatever it is, if your body gives you a signal, if your body gives you that feeling that you're about to fall out of alignment, you simply trust that intuition and respond accordingly. So when you continue to follow your feeling, you stay in alignment and you start flowing naturally with whatever is in alignment. Let's look at some examples of this. Maybe that'll help you understand. In the second stage, life's happening for me, you might think, well, I need to control my career. I need to plan every step, to succeed. In the life's happening through me stage, you might rather think, okay, look, I'll put my energy into what feels right. But I trust that life will guide me to the right opportunities. Let's say if it's work, okay, I'm going to put in all the effort. I'm going to be fully involved, fully committed, do everything I can. And then I trust. If I have to fail, that's great. That's because life's moving me away towards the right thing. Or if I win, then it's a confirmation that I am in the right space. I'm on the right path anyway. So that's how you start to approach action. So it's not really about giving up action. It's about aligning your actions with what feels right, rather than forcing things out of fear. Take another example. In life's happening for me stage, you might think, I need to fix this relationship. I need to say the right things and do the right things and make sure such and such will stay in my life. Instead, in the life's happening through me stage, you might think, I'll show up with honesty and love, but I trust that this relationship will unfold how it's meant to. If they stay, great, it's meant for me. If they don't stay, that's life guiding me to something better. And again, this has to be an embodied truth. It can't be a mental process. You can't imagine this thing or positive affirmation yourself towards this sort of experience. It needs to be your instinctual response. That's what I'm trying to get to. In other words, control focuses on holding on tightly or trying to force the outcome, but flow focuses on being present, honest, authentic, and just trusting life's process. Knowing that what's truly meant for you won't require endless control or effort. And you see, this is why the third stage can get challenging. You see, we always have this idea that we want our life to turn out a certain way. We have dreams, we have imagined how our future looks, and we have invested so much in it that we will not have it any other way. We can't even imagine, we don't even have enough room for a possibility that perhaps life may have something better in the cards for me. Maybe it's got something more profound than what even I can imagine. And we don't really trust life as such. So that's why we are so much in control, and we want that outcome in our head to unfold just as we want it to be. And the ego is so invested, and it's so much like holding things tightly that you almost try to force the outcome. Flow, on the other hand, releases that. You're simply being present, honest, involved, and authentic, and trusting whatever the outcome life brings is the right path, is leading you towards the right future. The problem is, or the reason why it gets difficult is because you are not able to, or because you don't have an image in your head of what that future, the right future where life's leading you, can look like, you this becomes really difficult to surrender. So, for example, let's say you have planned a career in IT for yourself, and you've planned that I'm going to study engineering, I'm going to then study masters, that's going to land me a job in Silicon Valley or a tech firm of your choice, which will give me X amount of money, X amount of lifestyle, I'll drive X car, I live in X place, etc., etc., etc. So you've already planned this in your head, and that's your inspiration. So all you're doing is controlling now everything in life, so that you're razor focused, moving towards this direction. Now, if these things don't happen, it hurts. It almost destroys you. You completely feel defeated. But on the other hand, if that didn't happen, if you're totally open with this experience that, okay, well, what I had planned hasn't happened, but I know life has something better in the cards for me. So how exciting this is, because everything that I have planned hasn't happened. Amazing, because life can imagine something even better for me, or it's got something even more exciting for me. That's the difference between the control mindset and the flow mindset. Again, it has to be an experience. It can't be something you talk to yourself or force yourself into. And that's why I say flow focuses on being present, honest, and authentic, and trusting life process, whereas control is like holding on tightly, trying to force the outcome. Let's look at this whole aspect through an analogy. You guys know I love my analogy. Think of yourself as a musical instrument. In the for me stage, you try to force the music to sound perfect. You're hoping for validation or playing that music or instrument so you can please everyone. In the through me stage, you realize that life is the music and you are the instrument. Your role is to stay tuned and open, simply to allow that music to flow through you. You care less about validation or even disappointing people. And you're more about alignment. Life is happening through me is about learning to trust life's flow. It's about recognizing that you are not separate from life. You're a part of life itself. Your job isn't to control that every step, but to stay present, open, and allow life to just move through you with grace and trust. Like I said, I'm learning this myself. I'm somewhere along the spectrum, and I'm going through these challenges myself as well. So, but I can assure you, it's well worth the effort. When you embody this, I guess that's the key. I keep referring to this. I keep reiterating this. You need to live this naturally. This needs to be an instinctual experience without forcing this perspective on yourself. It is here life becomes less of a struggle and more of a beautiful unfolding. So let's remember, real letting go isn't a mental decision. It's not about affirmations or visualizations. It's a lived, embodied experience. It's feeling what we have been avoiding, sitting with the discomfort, allowing life to move through us, and that's where the magic actually happens. The stage of surrender is where we shift then from control to trust. It is where we realize that we don't have to force everything to happen. We just show up, do our part, and then trust that life will guide us where we need to go. In the Indian traditional cultures, it used to be, they used to actually tell you this. They actually used to teach you this. They used to say, keep performing actions, keep doing things with complete involvement, and give up the expectations of any results. Don't be hooked onto or latch onto a certain expectation of how life will turn out to be. The only problem is you cannot you cannot force that wisdom on someone. Just by teaching them these virtues, you cannot ask somebody to just follow that. You can't teach yourself trust. Trust is an intrinsic part of us. We simply have to get away. We simply need to move away things that are in the way. So this is a place that unfolds. It is not a place you reach by learning or reading books or following ideologies. And that's sort of what I wanted to, try and land, if I may. So guys, here's my invitation to you. Reflect on the areas of your life where you still feel that need to control. And then ask yourself, what am I afraid to feel? What will happen if I surrender control today? What contrast am I really avoiding? And then instead of pushing it away, let yourself sit with it. Feel it fully, experience it, and watch how over time that feeling transforms you into something lighter. Watch how life then begins to flow through you. The journey of life's happening to me, stage 1, to life is happening for me, stage 2, all the way to life's happening through me is a profound shift in consciousness. It's about moving from that victimhood state to control, through to surrender. And it's when we surrender that life truly begins to feel like a beautiful unfolding rather than constant struggle. Folks, thank you for joining me in this exploration. I hope today's insight brings clarity and inspiration to your healing journey. It's been equally healing for me to be able to finally integrate my learnings and my struggles through this episode. So thank you for that opportunity. Thank you for listening in. Remember, surrender isn't about giving up. It's about allowing. It's about trusting. It's about becoming the instrument through which life expresses itself. And you don't make this happen. This simply unfolds for you. This whole allowing, trusting, you don't teach that to yourself. It's not adding anything to yourself. You simply have to feel whatever is in the way. And when that is fully felt and released, allowing naturally happens. Trusting naturally unfolds. It's already a part of your higher self. You don't need to learn that. It's so organic that one fine day, once everything that's in the way is cleared up, you begin to go, of course, trusting is the way to go. What psychosis was it to not be trusting? Of course, allowing life is the wisest thing to do. Why would I not do that? It's such an organic aspect. So, so remember that surrender isn't about giving up, or surrender isn't about mentally trying to sort of imagine you've given up something. So until next time, stay curious, stay open, and let life flow through you. As usual, I'll see you in the next episode. Much love and take care.